is our goal here at the Damage Report, to give you comprehensive coverage of all of the entrants in the Democratic primary, which is tough because there's a lot of them. But we're gonna keep pressing on, and we're gonna do another breakdown of the finances of a major candidate. We've already covered Kirsten Gillibrand. Now Cory Booker, a new entrant to the race. And joining us now to provide this information, Ashley Balcerzak, federal politics reporter for the Center for Public Integrity. Ashley, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you on. Very curious to learn more about Cory Booker based on your research. So first off, I found it interesting that you describe in one of your pieces online that he already has the support of a sort of special super PAC. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, of course. So the New York Times reported that a friend of his, Steve Phillips, had started a kind of hybrid PAC. So it's a super PAC, so it can take in as much money as it wants, spend as much money as it wants, but has another bank account that they can donate directly to people. And he's trying to raise $10 million to support Cory Booker, and says that he has about $4 million in promised pledges so far. And it's interesting because Cory Booker has spoken out against super PACs, Citizens United, which is the Supreme Court case that started them basically, and called it, it says that it mutes the voice of millions of Americans. So it'll be interesting to see what he says about this group, that so far it hasn't raised any money or spent any money as of December 31st, which is the last report that they had to file with the government. So we'll see what happens there.
So they wouldn't actually be they wouldn't be donating any money to him, but they would be spending in support of his candidacy. And I mean, I guess technically there would be no coordination, but it doesn't seem like it would be very difficult for them to spend a lot of money to help him out without actually having to be in constant contact with him.
Well, yeah, so there are laws against coordination between a super PAC and a candidate. So you can't share staff, you can't be talking about messaging and things like that. But the laws on that, there are kind of ways around that you see people doing it. You'll see a candidate put a ton of B-roll on the internet, and you'll see that ending up in a super PAC ad. So, but even if they aren't coordinating together, I mean, if you're able to spend these millions, while if you're donating directly to Cory, you have a limit, so you can only donate $2,700 per election. While here you can give to a super PAC, you can give $1 million. So you have much more resources here, even if you don't have like the messaging that maybe Cory wants you to have.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the industries that have been supportive of Cory Booker over the course of his career. Obviously, Wall Street seems like one of the big ones. What has been their history in terms of donations to Booker?
Yeah, he's very popular with the securities and investment industry. In 2013 and 2014, when he was running for a special election and his first term as senator, he got the most money from that industry. So OpenSecrets.org is a nonprofit that looks at the employer of every single person that donates. So a firm itself can't give money to Booker, but people that work for like Goldman Sachs, et cetera. And these companies can have their own political action committees where they take in money from their own employees and then they can give out an amount. So Booker got the most of any that cycle. So he's been pretty popular with them.
And so when you're thinking about like historically, what are the industries that seem to be the most supportive of him? That's the one that leaps to mind. But are there others where he's raised significant amounts of money?
Yeah, he's really popular with pro-Israel groups as well, and pharmaceutical companies, because New Jersey is the headquarters of quite a few big ones, like Johnson & Johnson, for instance. So he has notable amounts of money from them as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as we've broken down in some of our past reporting, I mean, getting a lot of money from Wall Street and from the pharmaceutical industries, those are some of the areas where he has either come out against bills that would have affected those industries or has made sort of incredibly defensive statements about them. So it does appear that this money could be earning them something. What about small dollar, like small donor contributions? How has he done in that area compared to other candidates in the primary?
Yeah, it's been notable. I think it was the Wall Street Journal that did an analysis about how Cory Booker is actually kind of one of the worst Democratic contenders with small donors. So I think he got like 12% of his donations from people under $200 the last 6 years, which is pretty far behind a lot of the people that he's competing against. So I think that this report was talking about how he's trying to figure out how he can improve. And it's interesting that he isn't doing that well because he has a huge social media following. He has like more than 4 million followers on Twitter. So you think that he would be able to kind of tap into this following that he already has. So it's kind of interesting.
Wow. And for comparison's sake for the audience, I believe that for Elizabeth Warren and for Bernie Sanders, those numbers are 50% and 61%, I believe, although the audience should of course check that to make sure. Is there anything else that sort of stands out about Cory Booker's fundraising that people should know going into this primary?
So he's got quite a bit of money in the bank. He's got $4.1 million at this point, which it's kind of in the top 3. I think Warren and Gillibrand have more, but that's pretty significant. Another thing to think about is he was one of the few senators that said that he wasn't going to take corporate PAC money. So one of like 7 people. However, he's been raising money for these past 6 years and he's taken in corporate PAC money at that point, and he can transfer all this over to his presidential campaign. So he's not really starting from scratch. He already has like, I believe it's around $300,000 that he took from corporate PACs. Yeah. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Like he can start from now, but he does have that past support anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great reminder that we want people to, or at least speaking for TYT, we want people to not take this money, but there are some ways around it hypothetically. So that's why we need people with your sort of expertise to add the necessary financial context. Ashley, as always, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.